All right, guys, giving this a shot. I'm having some issues starting my other live stream, so I apologize if you got locked into the other stream. Lots of movers today. It is going to be a short trading day because it is Christmas Eve, so the markets will close at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 1 p.m. New York time, and so there's a lot of stuff moving here. Let's just get everybody in the room. If there's anybody out there today, is my first stream. And let's also, I'm gonna share my screen. So this is what let me actually clean this up here. Let's update these tickers. So this one's really moving. A lot of people are looking at this one, ASTS, the space stock. So these are the ones that are on my main watch. I also have Nike. Nike moved on some news for a purchase. Somebody had purchased. Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's see. So ASTS is moving. Well, I mean, a lot of stuff is moving right now. ASTS, I'm not really going to be. I want to see how it opens. It's just one of those stocks that it has a lot of room to the upside. I can definitely see if we get the volume, 95 would be my exit. $95 if I'm going on the long. But I really don't want to get involved in the long until I get to at least 85, 67, maybe 88. So it's just you're kind of trading in between. And when you trade in between a range, you don't want to get stuck on the wrong side. You want to try to get at least the best price that you can get. And so we'll try along. Want to participate. Don't want to miss out on opportunities. So let's try. Let's try maybe picking it up at 88 and seeing if we can get into a long um, around $88. And so I'm going to set an alert on my chart at $88 for ASTS. And I'm just going to write a notification of going long at $88. And so what I'm looking at here is essentially, let's go back to the chart here. What I'm looking at here is I want an alert down here with the consolidation before this breakout. And just in case it is a false breakout, it was on higher volume, but you can also look at the volume bars of selling. And so the purple line represents the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. And so that's a good place to look. But if they want to flush people out, just be patient and kind of see how this thing opens in the first 5 minutes. And so that's what I'm looking at for ASTS, is along at 80, let's say 88. Let's see here. And then for everyone's favorite stock, Tesla. Tesla, I think, saturated a lot of people in the 500 range. I think a lot of people were waiting for that break. It happened on Monday, where it hit essentially 490, and then it flushed. And so you're gonna have a lot of people stuck in that trade. And although it's consolidated well, it could be kind of a sort of an upper limit. And so I really don't get interested until we can trade over 490. And so I have an alert once Tesla breaks 489, 490 to watch it for that retest um, of the 500 and see if we can actually get over the 500 number. And for and that's all I'm really interested in. I mean, you could argue the short, but there's just so many levels, and I wouldn't quite know where I would want to exit the short. Um, there's a sort of a floor at the what's it, the 468, which was a previous high that it broke out of, and so that's now acting like a support. And so ultimately, it could go there, it could fill in the gap down to 462. But like I said, Tesla's been choppy and it's been consolidating in a tighter and tighter range. And so I have a just knowing how the stocks work, I have a feeling at least we'll retest up to 500. And so if that comes, we'll definitely be interested in that at the 49. So I have an alert for that as well. And let's see, what else do we have? And then let's see, one thing I'm looking at is silver too, SLV. I mean, SLV is just going on a tear. Um, all new highs, and I love the gap up plays when it comes to like maybe the short. Never short something that goes gap up until it proves to you that it can fail. And so gap up means that it is going to open up a lot higher than it had already closed yesterday. And so SLV has been on a complete tear, but I'm not convinced. The same idea is that it's done. I feel like shorts are definitely down on this and they're hurrying on this. So I don't want to be caught in something that's just on a tear. And it's already done 6 million shares and it's only traded in a dollar range. And so its ATR, its true range is basically, it's not that much. It's actually only a couple of bucks. And so it could move a lot higher. And so in the pre-market, I see the high is 65.60. And so what I want to do is just see a level fail and then get involved in the short. Um, could try a long at the base price of where we closed yesterday. It's like 65, 64.50. But that's going to be a little risky. So I don't know if I want to do that. Um, let's see here. So this guy here, right? Looking at the chart, it's upper limit here 65 in the pre-market. It's lower 64.81. So again, it's just range bound. And it closed yesterday close to, what was it? What did they say? It was 64.84. So kind of interested to see where that goes and see where it closes. And then let's see here. If you look at NVDA and NVIDIA looks solid. NVIDIA looks like a solid long too. And that looks like it wants to retest up there north of 200. That's always been just a solid stock to trade on the long side. Definitely not so much on the short side. I actually like CVNA. It just doesn't have any volume, so I'm not trading it. But I like the push. CVNA tested that 434, 433 yesterday. That support as a secondary, so I expect it to push back up to 500. At least immediately go up to 447, 450. But now that it has a secondary support and it's in the S&P, there's a good chance that it's going to come up. So a lot of good potential there as well. So those are some of the ideas that I have. So CVNA long at the 437 level for at least a $10 break to 447 as a clean. Can hold on to it. See if this thing can go back up before it started to flush once it got into the S&P inclusion. And then there is one more called HYMC that I'm looking at. And that is That doesn't look too good today for a long, but it has, massive gaps to fill. But again, I'm still waiting for the retest of some of these levels, at least 20, 27, um, probably a little bit higher than 27 just to get the shorts out. And so it looks like maybe that level right there, 28. I don't think it'll reach all-time highs. I think that's where the shorts will be looking. So typically, I would say that level that kind of broke down was that 28, $29 level. So I'll probably send an alert to short that level if it does come in. Gonna be a little tighter on the trades today just because it is a slower day. Don't want to be don't want to be too aggressive and get caught with probably what's going to be considered a low volume day. Um, so just keep that in mind when you're trading. Is you're looking for volume, you're looking to be able to get in and out of a trade. You don't want to get caught. So that's what you want to just keep in mind is. So we'll short. I would say 28.75. Well, what I'm looking at for HYMC. Definitely don't care for the long. It looks like it's exhausted itself. It does have some support at 24.54, but if they want to flush this thing, and they can flush this thing all the way back down to, you know, $16, most likely 20. Might get interested in the long around $20.50. Um, but like I said, they could sell this thing off, and it could be a no-go. And so that's what I am looking at. And so we talked about Tesla and that break. I'm not really paying attention too much to AST. That wasn't really on my main watch list till this morning, but a lot of potential with that stock. You see MU there as well. MU's been a real interesting stock. Anytime a stock makes new highs, all-time highs, it's harder to trade because you just don't have levels to work with. It already broke out of its all-time high of the 260 level a few days ago. And so that makes the stock extremely hard to trade because you're kind of having to risk as you go. Because of the solid earnings, I feel like it's going to continue making all-time new highs. And so same idea. If I were trading MU, I would be buying it up at the 267 or 276. And then I would let it run back up and retest that 281. Yesterday, it actually failed at the previous day's close which was what, 276. It failed at 276, but it's gapped up to 278 today. So as long as it can hold that level, let's see here, even 277, I think that it's a buy. So 277, you could try the long and then try to see it get a retest at 281. That's 5 points. So that's worth something. So I'm going to set that alert too. So let's see here. And that's pretty much it. Let's see here. Coin actually has a lot of potential too, but coin's a tricky one. So coin, I'd be looking at shorting off that 247 level. But man, the way it's trading, again, I think it's a false hope. I think it could, if it breaks that floor at 231, it already previously tested it and ran up. But if it can break that floor, you're running all. This is why I'm very bearish on crypto. 210's the next level just on coin. It's really gonna be at 210 213 level. And so that's why pulling would be a great short, but timing that everyone's looking at the same charts, and that's why the market messes with you the way it does. And having a good sort of risk tolerance and being disciplined is important. I've made plenty of mistakes, and I still continue to make mistakes. And so you just want to, learn to be better. And so that's what I would say is try your best to avoid that. But clearly that it's tested and it wants to break, but I'm not confident that we're quite there yet, quite ready. But when we can get to kind of a higher up, I would say like a right here, I have that level marked out at as a 247, and I would love to get into a short and then just kind of play it through there. But right now, it looks like it's still technically holding that floor 239. I will put an alert though if it does break 231. So what I do is I put alerts so I know what to do. There's too many stocks, too many levels, and so you want to have levels and ideas in mind. And so I put messages for myself to know like if this happens, this is what I want to do, just to remind myself of what my process was. So like if for example coin breaks 231, I want to short to fill the gap. So that way I have a range and my idea of what I think it's going to do. Because these things can run pretty quick, pretty easily. ASTS, again, plenty of space to run and to move. 940, 1000 pre-market's pretty good. That's a pretty good, there's definitely liquidity in that stock, and that's what we want to look for if we're going to get into a stock is, and obviously if you were shorting it yesterday, you're down on that stock. And so that's why you got to be careful with carrying overnight positions. SLVs is definitely an interesting one for the long side. I just feel like shorts are stuck on this one too. But I really don't get interested until, the 64.84. I really don't get interested until looking at some continuation on that stock. Maybe 64. So maybe you see like a little sell off in the open and then just kind of get into that range. I would say maybe 64. I'll probably consider a long. So I'll put an alert there too to go long at like 64. So we'll look at a long at $64 on SLV. That's the idea behind there. Just some continuation from yesterday, and the pre-market high was up at like over almost close to 66. And again, we're at all-time highs, so we don't know what and how far, how high this is going to go. But I'd like to see at least a sell-off initially. Pre-market low was around 64.87. So yeah, STS had a really good run pre-market. I'm looking like kind of look at where things consolidate, and it's at 88. SLV mentioned. I'm thinking sometimes waiting the first 5 minutes is a good idea to just let the market flush out. So that's what I'm tempted to do is just kind of see where the market wants to go with some of these stocks. So a lot of these things are squeezing. And so just to kind of understand the direction, I think I'm going to kind of let other people's money get used instead of trying to play the open, which has the highest volume candle the first minute. I think it's better to kind of kick back because just a lot of these stocks are just squeezing next different level stuff. HYMC, which has been squeezing, that's down. Like I said, that one, I mean, that thing could just fail. I could see that hitting 26 89 and just family two. $26. Yeah, actually, it looks like they're really good. It opened at 25.90, and the VWAP right now is at 26.81. The high was 28, but it was very low volume. But definitely that's a very interesting level. That 26. I'll do it a little. I'll go smaller size, and we'll give it a shot. 26.75. Let's see. CVNA. I mentioned. There's just no volume on that stock. Not a fan of it. It just never has volume, and then it just comes back up. But then it has so much room to run, so much room to run, and so I'd be interested in, let's just say 437. I'll do a small size. Let's see an A. And I'll do a stop. Definitely put your stops in. And let's see. For H1MC, I want a short sell. And I'm going to stop probably at like 28. And that's kind of my ideas for today. There's actually a lot to watch. So it's a low volume day, but there's definitely a lot to watch. So, I mean, Tesla has almost 1 million shares traded. And like I said, that break is very interesting. In fact, it just seems like it just ran, it just hit. So, again, that could be a good stock to get into for that break. It just hit that level right now when we were on the chat. And so again, don't want to really buy anything at the open. Don't want to get stuck on anything. But yeah, that level looks solid. I like it at 480.60, not 486.91. Very nice. I'll clean this up a little bit. Yeah, no, Tesla looks solid, and that break was amazing. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm not so sure on open, but that 487 looks solid with Tesla. Modify those 60. Um, yeah, that Tesla actually looks really good for that strong. The way it's trading and kind of coming back up. So that's the one I'd be looking at. 487. All right, guys. Best of luck. And we'll definitely get this figured out, make it look good.